introduce yourself, bud, and currently weight?
What's going on, guys? This is Ifbb Pro Bryan Balzano. I'm currently 218 pounds as of this morning, which is 6 weeks, 4 days out. So just about 6 pounds above stage weight, but we're gonna try to maintain that and still get leaner throughout the last 6 weeks.
What has Justin talked to you about what he, is there a goal weight or it's just how you look?
So the original goal weight was 10 pounds above last year's stage weight. So I was 197 last year, and the goal was to be 207. But before we started prep, he said that it looks like we could potentially squeeze in. I'm not necessarily sure we're gonna squeeze, but Justin was like, yeah, he's like, I think we might be 210 to 212 on stage. But we're 218. We're still looking good. I still have some work to do, but currently we're kind of doing 3 days of cutting, 3 days of refeeding. So he's kind of alternating. So he'll give me 3 days of pulling my calories back and 3 days of refeeding me. So it's kind of we're burning fat, but filling back out. So we kind of stay between 218, 220. It seems to be working. So who knows? We might hit 210, 212, which I'll be happy about. But the goal was about 207.
Genetic, crazy life.
Oh yeah. So I've always liked to lift, but I was never really an athlete. I never really thought about competing. I was kind of talked into it. So I never trained legs. I was always about upper body. As kids, I just hated training legs. I thought if I trained legs, my upper body would get smaller. And then when I had a few people reach out to me, I was like, hey man, you really need to compete. And then when I moved to Columbus, I was harassed in a good way, nonstop of you need to compete. You have amazing genetics. And however, I never trained legs, and I got with Justin. And then, so my first time training legs was January of 2014. My first show was May of 2014. I won that. And then we went to USA's in July of 2014. I won my pro card. And one of my close friends, Stefan, he always hashtags on my photos every time I have a leg picture. He'll be pro legs in 7 months. So I was yeah. So in 7 months, I went from never training my legs ever because I hated it to winning my pro card in 7 months.
And they just responded crazy.
Yeah, and that goes to show once again, I'm not taking away that I'm the hardest worker in the room. I'm sure there's a ton of people out there who work way harder than me, but I am genetically blessed. I do work hard, but it's we all have. It's like dieting. I know my body. I train as hard as I know that my body can go in my philosophy of training, and it works for me. So but my plan of how I do things has worked for me, and I'm not going to deviate from it.
Speaking of that, yeah, let's talk about with legs now, specifically let's talk about movements you don't do that in the most part people think you're gospel you have to do for legs.
I am.
Yeah.
So if you go on Instagram or anywhere, if you're an upcoming bodybuilder, you'll read and hear everything about that. You must squat, you must deadlift to get a pair of legs. I do not deadlift, I do not squat. I will never deadlift and I will never squat. I just don't believe in it. You do not need to do those to get a pair of legs. I'm more into the contraction. So I do things that from start to finish that you get the highest contraction possible. And I just think deadlifting is too risky. So when the way I train is I kind of think of it as investment. So when you're going to invest money, if there's a chance to invest, if there's a chance to invest very low risk with high reward, that's what you want. If you were going to invest money with very high risk and low reward, no one would do that. When you deadlift and squat, you're taking on an extreme amount of risk that something can go wrong with very minimal reward from it. So if you're a bodybuilder, it doesn't really build muscle. There's smarter ways and safer ways to put more stress on the muscle itself with less chance of having your back blown out, a disc pop, or your muscle blow off the bone. And that's kind of how I train. I like isolated movements, things that are going to put an extreme amount of tension on the muscle with not any chance of me throwing my back out or slightly, because if you're deadlifting, if your back comes out of place, you can really screw yourself up. So I like to train smarter, not harder. And I do not believe in weight. You don't need to squat 1,000 pounds to get a pair of legs. I'm squatting 4 plates in a squat machine, which I don't even know what that is. I can't even squat 405. I know there's people out there who are 212s that are repping 405, and I got bigger legs than them, and I don't even know if I can squat 225. I can, but I haven't squatted in 10 years. I can't balance the bar anymore. But I'll tell you one thing, I do have legs, and I don't do a lot of weight. So, okay, because like I'm a firm believer, weight does not make a muscle grow. It's how you're using the weight, and like essentially the way I train is flexing with weights. Like if you're gonna pose, like I just imagine that I'm flexing my muscles or I'm posing my muscles with weights in that position. So that's just kind of my philosophy and how I train.
No, that makes sense.
Like if you're gonna do a bicep curl,
Stage, right?
yeah, so if you're gonna bicep curl, you can curl a 50-pound dumbbell, but it's not gonna be like, you know, but if you were to like flex your arm and try to do like a bicep pose, if you were to hold a 20-pound dumbbell and like in this position, pull it, your bicep would probably pop off the bone because you can't, they go here like I can't extend farther enough here, like I feel like my tendon's gonna blow. But just grab a 20-pound dumbbell and squeeze and that bicep will blow up. Like if I can hold a 50-pound dumbbell and pull it from here, but the contraction's not the same. So it's like I think people who are worried about putting as much weight against the muscle as possible, they're wasting their time when they should truly learn to engage the muscle and not use the weight itself.
And then
So
just go for more repetitions if you have to. Then.
yeah, like one thing, like I just believe like 12 to 15, 10 to 15, like anything less than 10 reps, I don't know. I just don't believe that it's that useful. And like having good form, good contractions, like in 10 to 15 reps, like that's going to give you the most, to me, the most amount of muscle, the most amount of density, the most amount of hardness. If you're just doing less than 10 reps, I don't know, like I feel like, you know, you can do better things than that. But I mean, once again, I don't have a PhD in exercise science. I don't know, but like going off of what I know,
What works for you?
yeah, it works very well for me.
Yeah. No, and also I would think that would help with longevity, right? Like
Oh, yeah.
You're not pushing your joints to the max or your muscles.
Yeah, I'm not blowing my knee out. I don't have hip
Something or-
issues.
Yeah, no, definitely.
You know, thank you.
Definitely. Now, even like, so like, say for chest, then do you do bench and flat bench or no?
I've had 2 shoulder surgeries, non-workout related. Like I was hit by a car when I was younger, and then after college, my arm was ripped out by a boat. So it's a long story, but no, my friends were like, you know, you don't have a life, and we all graduated, and my brother had a boat, and they wanted to go tubing on Lake Erie, and they were like, dude, get on the inner tube. Like, you know, don't just sit on the boat. And they forced me to get on the inner tube, and they knew I would jump off. So they wanted to do like one hard spin, but they turned the boat too hard and the rope lost tension. And I didn't know what the hell I was doing. So like when the rope lost tension, I got scared because I was, you know, I went from 0 to 40 in like a second, but I should have let go of the inner tube, but I held on to it. I was bracing for impact. And when it happened, just like boom, my arm just popped right out. I was like the reverse hunchback at Notre Dame. My shoulder, whatever, like that bone was stuck in my chest, and I was just like floating in the water, and I had to be rushed to the emergency room. And then they were like, your whole shoulder's torn apart. And they said I would never lift again. It's all artificial. But I went back. I won my pro card. It fell apart after that because it wasn't designed to lift again. When I got another surgery, I told that doctor, like, look, I need this to function for training. And so like, ever since then, I've been good. But yeah, my shoulder fell apart, non-lifting issues. But that's the one exercise I will not do. Like, I will not give up. I love bench press. I need to do it. Like, I know it's absolutely terrible for your shoulders, but I don't have shoulder pain. Like if you watch me bench, like we're gonna shoot again a couple weeks on that day. Like I bench extremely slow, very controlled reps. So like I'm not doing stupid, but like I just love I feel like my chest opens up so much with the barbell. I don't like using dumbbells for flat bench. It has to be flat barbell. I feel so good doing that. Like, it's almost like a drug. I just get.
Works for you, man. That's awesome too.
Yeah.
I even doing them up and stuff.
Yeah. I mean, I don't get to like the working weight for at least like 20 minutes.
Yeah.
So I'm very smart in my approach, and that's kind of like we're here for 3 hours.
Yeah.
You know, I could make it shorter, but like I don't know, my process has been vetted for years, like with my mind, you know. So like I'm very set in my ways. I know what works, and I know how to make my body respond to what I need.
Yeah. That's awesome. What's he at?
So he just bumped it to 30. So we're doing 30 minutes fasted 5 times a week. Yeah, but he'll probably put it back to 20 because if, you know, he's like, once I go below, he doesn't want me below 217 right now. So he's like, if your weight drops below 217, shoot me an update immediately and will get your weight back up. So he's been going back between 20 and 30, depending on where my weight is.
Easy road.
Oh no,
Yeah.
it's a very difficult road. So like people who knew me before I started my Instagram back up, like the 2 years of me having that pineal cyst, which I'm not sure if many people have to know about that, but like I had 26 months of a wound in my ass crack that ruined my life. I wasn't allowed to. It took 4 surgeries. The wound wouldn't close. I had staph infections 6 times. I had to take 15 cycles of antibiotics over 26 months. I had to lay in a bed pretty much for 2 years. I had no life, and like that. Once again, I mean that was like mental torture. But like we weren't even talking about that. But like I finally got back. And then, like, getting back into, like, going from 150 to 230 pounds in 12 months was hard. But, like, right before we started prep, so the December 1st of 2020, my brother died. He was 35 years old, too young. And, like, so, like, I'm about to go into prep, and my brother passed away. That was very, once again, I'm like, it's just like what happened to me before. Now my brother passed. I had a very rough time. And then like, Instagram, we were talking about like, reality versus what you see. Instagram is completely fake. Like people, like, so, people probably like look at my profile, like, he's got a dream body. He's got a good life. He's got this, but in reality, we're all fighting our own demons. Like when I look in the mirror, I see a bunch of imperfections. I don't actually like look at myself. Like I don't give myself the credit. Like I look at myself that like, I wouldn't say like I'm not good enough, but like once again, if you're an athlete and you're hungry and you're trying to be a champion, you can never look at yourself and be satisfied because the game's over. You have to be hungry. So your brain's almost taught to never like yourself because I still haven't, until I have the title, I have work to do. There's something that has to be improved. So all I'm looking at is what is wrong with me and not what actually is good with me. And it's not like negative, but like, it's just a thing of like, if you're that person who walks around, you're like, wow, I look good. I'm like, I'm not like egotistical. Like people who walk around like, oh, I'm gonna win a championship. I'm this like, I just feel like you can't push yourself. I'm that person of like, until it's concrete, like you can't sit there and say it's happened. Like, but like I work hard. I'm gonna push myself, but like I will never say like I'm gonna be the champ because until I am the champ, I haven't earned the right to say that. But also it's just like, but like there's a lot of mental aspects in it. It's like, my life is not perfect. Prep is not like a pretty thing. Like it starts to play hard mind games when you're doing, like your calories are getting super low. And you're fighting a lot of like, negative thoughts and like your mind's falling apart. You're starting to like, see things because you're so like malnourished in a way. I'm especially like too like like people are in condition like you seen my glutes. Like I remember like watching real bodybuilding podcast with like Ifbb. I'm not sure how you say his name that well, but like he talks about how he's like the best way to tell if someone is really in condition is by looking at their glutes. No offense to everyone out there. There's no one in the industry that comes close to the glutes that I have. So it's like I'm pushing body fat to some of the lowest percentages possible. Imagine what that does to your brain. Like I'm lightheaded. My eyes, like my vision starts to get blurry. So when people look at the body, like, wow, that's a great body. Same time, like I'm almost losing touch with reality. Like I don't even know where the hell I'm at half the time. It's a very ugly process to get that lean. But it's like people see the riches, but they don't see the blood and the sweat and like the mental warfare you're going through to put yourself in that type of condition. So it's like, it's hard when, like I have a problem, like when you look at Instagram, like all these people who look absolutely phenomenal, like 8 weeks out here, and then like you see them in person and they don't look anything like their Instagram. It's like everything's just fake, and like that plays with your mind too, because you don't think that like you're good enough half the time because like you're trying to compare yourself to other people. But in reality, like I remember like telling Justin, like, like 8 weeks out, if I remember like in my NPC, I'm like, I've already lost a show, man. Like these guys look this fucking lean at 8 weeks out. He's like, bro, don't worry about it. And then I show up and I won the show. I'm like, I look like crap 8 weeks out. These guys look like they're 1 week out. Then at the show, they look soft as hell and you can engrave your name on my butt, So he's like, don't believe anything that you see in social media because most people are lying and manipulating their stuff and like, so we all go through a lot of mental warfare.
Personally, I think like actually looks way more impressive in person than you do online.
Yeah, like, and
When I see you online, I'm like, it definitely, and I don't mean that in a bad way, man, but it's like, it does, your size and stuff doesn't come across. Like
it doesn't do me justice. And like, I'm not sure if all you out there, so like, I have a friend here named Brady King. He's another pro bodybuilder. He was pro classic, now he's going open. But he said the same thing, man. He's like, you know, no offense. He's like, you take terrible photos. You have no idea how to use a camera. You're using your like iPhone. He's like, you have no idea to find the right light. And I'm like, dude, I'm just like, I'm trying, but I don't know. I'm not a professional photographer. Like, I don't think people like are being this disingenuous, you know, like doing stuff. Like, I'm just taking a photo and like, oh, here it is. And like, he's like, you know, like, you need to try better. I'm like, what do I do? Like, because these people look like 4 times the size of me, and I take a photo, and then people see me in real life. They're like, holy shit, dude. Like you don't look anything like this. And I'm like, can someone teach me how to take a photo? Because apparently I'm terrible at it. Oh yeah, I'm a genuine person. Everyone like, you know, like I am who I am in any situation around anyone. There's like, and I'm just trying I'm trying to be realistic. Like, I take a photo, that's it. And like, you think everyone else is doing the same thing, but they're not. It's all lying. It's all fake. And like, I really take pride in trying to be as honest as possible. But like, I mean, even some of like my pictures backstage at the Indy, like, well, like, you know, like the days leading up to it, like I'm taking a photo and I look at it, I'm like, dude, like, I look like I'm 180 pounds. Like, I look small as hell. And like, when you see the professional shots, like, they're like, dude, you have so much muscle. Like, even Justin was like, dude, even at a 197, I weighed in the smallest out of all the people in 212. He's like, dude, like, you were probably the thickest guy on stage. But like, when I look at my little iPhone pictures one day out, dude, I looked like a string bean. Like, I showed this to someone, like I looked like I was a bantamweight. And I'm like, I don't get it. Like, you know, like how is everyone else making their pictures look so much better? Because I do have an iPhone 12. It's, you know, 60K, whatever it is. Like, I don't know, like it's just, but like I just look so tiny and so natural in photos. And then people see me in person, like, wow, dude, like, you're nothing like your Instagram. And I'm like, well, I know, it just doesn't do me justice.
You're genuine, then. Don't worry about it, man. People will see eventually on stage or something.
Yeah. Hopefully, you know, hopefully these shows will kind of kick on, so.